Welcome to the video, my precious princesses, my wonderful knights, and fabulous beings. Today I will be reading a My Hero Academia one-shot called New Beginnings by Choeri Chu. If you would like to read this story for yourself, I shall leave a link for it in the description below. How was he supposed to give his present to you in a place like this, in front of all his classmates, and risk the chance of being embarrassed? What if you said no? Would you laugh at what he had gotten you? Or more specifically, what his mother made? The different outcomes of this dilemma was endless. Yaoyorozu Momo currently was hosting a party in celebration of the new year a few weeks after New Year's Day. She invited everyone over, including those from General Studies and Class B and C, to come over to her grand mansion, including you. Midoria thought now would be the perfect time to show you his gift that he was supposed to give you on Christmas Eve, right before everyone went home for the holidays. But he got too nervous and hesitated with his actions up until today. Many people were curious as to what was inside the poorly wrapped, All Might themed decorating paper. Might I add, box. What's inside it? Shying away, he sheepishly answers the curiosity. It's a sweater. For Yakushi-san, correct? Todoroki questioned, slightly tilting his head to the side as he observed the cubed object. The pigmentation on Midoriya's cheeks blossomed a bright red hue. He instantly covers his face in slight embarrassment as soon as he heard your name. Why would you assume that? It's quite obvious you like her. She has a special page in your hero journal adorned with a bunch of hearts. I saw you working on it during the sports festival when it was her match, Hagakure informs. Oh god, Carol. I think I saw Midoriya Aki in there. Midoriya quickly intervened on the last part that Tsuyu had said by letting out a frail Asui-san in embarrassment. Snickering amongst himself, Bakugo rests his arms behind his head on the couch from the other side of the room. Call me Tsuyu-chan. It's okay, Deku. Don't be so worried about giving her the present. She loves stuff related to yarn and handmade items, so I'm most certain you'll be more than fine, Uraraka states, beaming at her close friend. His heart squeezed at this, as he pulled a rather not-so-lovely face that Uraraka has grown used to. Ever since teaming up with him at the sports festival, that is. What's wrong? You look worried, she comments. Still squinting, Midoriya covers his eyes and begins to say, I'm just nervous is all. As if on cue, it was at that moment when the sound of soft footsteps could be heard approaching Yoruzo's spacious family living room, where everyone was. I think that's Aki-san, Ojiro stated, in a slight rush. Everyone began to scramble, well, aside from Bakugo, Todoroki, and Monoma, for they simply didn't feel the need to be bothered to worry, and act as casually as possible. Act cool, Kaminari whispered, / yelled. The footsteps drew closer up until the person stepped into the room, everyone waiting her presence. Yaoyorozu's mother stepped out from the shadows, dressed sophisticatedly with the same features as her daughter. I hope you all are feeling comfortable, she asks. Albeit, the outcome of their anticipation left everyone dejected, but they still answered with an enthusiastic yes. Yes, thank you, Mother. That's good. I hope you have room for another because I found this young lady mistakenly wandering around in the servants' headquarters, the woman stated, stepping aside to reveal a dazed Aki, glancing all across the room at all the decorations and chandeliers. Aki! Midoriya was quick to hide his face once again. However, this time it was not out of embarrassment. He couldn't help his eyes from wandering back to your elegant form. Everything about you was so beautiful. It was hard for his freckled cheeks not to turn red. Enjoy yourself, the mother advised, smiling at her daughter's friend. And with that, Miss Yaoyorozu left. Walking into the room, Aki waves energetically. Hey everyone, sorry I'm late. I had trouble finding where the living room was. It's not a problem at all. Here, sit. You can have my seat, Momo offers, already on her feet to show her emphasis. She happened to be sitting right beside Izuku, who was already trembling and freaking out at the thought of sitting beside his crush. Are you sure? Yes, I insist. I can always create one. Everyone returned back to their chatter and activities, yet at the same time, they made sure to frequently look over to see how Midoriya was doing, now that Aki's presence was beside him. Feeling the weight of the couch deepen a bit, Izuku desperately tries to find something to make him seem as if he were busy, such as twiddling his thumbs or tensely staring at a feather sticking out of the pillow that was on his lap, hiding the neatly wrapped present. "Hey, Izuku," she greets. His green eyes hesitantly wander upwards to meet your ravishing bright blue ones. Although it doesn't last for more than a second, so he decides to focus on your smooth neck. "Hey, Aki-san, hi," he stammers. Emitting a melodious giggle, she smiles, looking his outfit up and down. "You look good. I really like your sweater. The material's so soft and the designs are cool. It's related to All Might, right?" She leans in closer to properly examine the details of the neatly woven sweater his mother knitted for him. Little did you know that you would soon have one to match with him. Aki was so close that Izuku could smell the sweet scent of the shampoo she used. Her favorite that he's grown used to, vanilla. But now, it was clearly evident that he was blushing. She pressed her palm against his chest, grazing it over the bold yellow letters. On the verge of screaming out of joy and shyness, he lets out a weak yelp. Aki-san, what are you doing?" That's peculiar. Do you have the might part knitted?" "Where's the all?" she asks, her palm now placed back on her lap. "Okay, guys. Out and into the dining room. Go, go!" Yayorizo calmly shoos the silent crowd of students who stopped talking long ago to eavesdrop on Izuku and Aki's conversation. A chorus of dejected sighs and whines were heard throughout the room. "What? I wanted to see what would happen!" Mina sighs. "There are snacks, so don't worry," the dark-haired girl ensured. Ida speedwalks past the group to supervise that everyone would not run in the halls of the well-kept mansion. "Do not take this as an opportunity to fool around and make a mess," he scolds. "Free food!" Sato exclaims, as almost everyone exits the room. "Oh? Food?" Aki questions, rising from the couch, with Midoria questioningly tilting his head. "Not you two dimwits, stay," Bakugo commands, with a grunt. He slams the door shut. "Bakugo, not so loud!" They left us in here alone," the green-haired male states, his gaze now falling back to Aki. She shrugs and sits down beside him. "Yeah, they're doing this because they want us to be alone," which was weird because it came out of nowhere, she thought out loud. Gazing up at the ceiling, she sighs and taps her fingers against her knee. Izuku uses this as a chance to shamelessly stare at the girl before him, taking in every beautiful feature that he hasn't noticed before. If he had the chance, he'd love to know everything and anything about her. Simply being with Aki made his mood so fluttery that he couldn't fight off the dopey smile making its way onto his face. He was looking at you the same way he'd look at All Might, but with a more lovey-dovey aura around him. He had been zoned out for quite a while, not realizing that you had been calling his name for quite some time. That was until you patted his knee. What did you say?" he asks, shaking his head to properly get rid of the starstruck state. "Whilst you were too busy smiling at me, I asked for where the all in All Might was." "Oh, that," he recalls. It was either now or never. He was either going to give you the present and feel relieved, or most likely sick due to the rush of emotions he was feeling, or wait until the next holiday to come around. "I actually have a reason." He reluctantly removes the satin pillow from his lap, revealing the gift. "That's so cute, Izuku. Is that for me?" Nodding, he hands the rectangular box to her. Her delicate hands grazed his, and took it from him. "I'll make sure not to rip through the wrapping paper like a brute," she adds, carefully unboxing the present. If anything, Midoria wanted her to rip it and get it done with. The slow process was making it even more agonizing for this poor heart to watch. "No, it's okay. You can rip it," he says. Harshly ripping the paper, she gets to the important part, the box. She lifts it up to her ear and shakes it, but not a noise was heard. She lowers the present and lifts the lid off, removing the fancy, glittery tissue paper that hid the accessory. Inside was the same sweater that Izuku was wearing. The only difference it had was that it had the word all. "My mom knitted you a jumper," he says in a hurried, unintentional, loud tone of voice. He pants and adds, "Although I came up with the design and all, I just thought it'd be nice if we were, matching. And you're my all." Does that make sense? I hope that doesn't sound stupid. I wasn't the one who came up with that. It was Kaminari-kun. I just needed something to show that you were my all and everything. I said it. I'm so embarrassed. Please, if it doesn't make sense, ignore what I just said. Izuku quickly confessed, his usual frenzy of muttering really fast amongst himself. Fortunately for Aki, she's heard every word he has said. She lifts the sweater and slips her arms through the correct holes and slides it down on her torso, smoothing out the lint. Izuku-kun, it fits. Please let Inko-san know that I love it a lot. She's so talented, she gushes, wrapping her arms around his built back. His muscles at first tense, but he eases into the hug. He's been craving to have more physical contact with Aki for many days now. He's wanted more than the occasional hand brushing up against each other or high fives. That's no problem. I'm glad you like it, he says, his fingers absently tracing her clothed shoulder. Pulling away from his warmth, she smugly smiles. And Izuku? Yeah? Pulling him in, she daintily kisses his lips. At first, he wasn't sure of what to do. He was kissing his crush, for crying out loud. But at the moment, he did whatever felt natural to him, so he embraced her. Enveloping her into his warmth, he tangles his rough, callous hands into her hair and plays with the soft, raven locks between his fingers. He's been longing to be with you, like this, and for him to finally have you in his arms gave him an ecstatic feeling. Breaking the kiss, you pull away. Midoriya's eyes were still closed, but his lips absent-mindedly followed, searching for more affection. You jokingly press a finger on his mouth, causing him to open his eyes. Aren't you glad you gave me your gift? It's been a while. You knew? He exclaimed in pure shock. Of course. Being patient and waiting for you to confess and give me your present was torture, but in the end, it was definitely worth it. You're not really good at hiding your crushes, Izuku. I'm trying. Aki laughs at his light-hearted defense state. Thank you for everything, especially what you said. I'm glad things turned out the way they did. She exhales, burying her face in his woolly sweater. With a prominent, tender smile, he replies, Yeah, me too.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed your time here, please be sure to like the video. If you would care to hear more, please consider subscribing. Farewell for now, my loves.